Phalaenopsis complex hybrids are popular orchids known for their stunning blooms and relative ease of care. However, because of their popularity, I thought, why not put out some information or personal insights as to what are the pros and cons of these easy, accessible orchids? Because while we all may be able to list off all the pros, I have some cons that I would like to discuss based on my personal experience when I switched my setup from clay pots to leca and self-watering. So if you have any questions throughout this video when it comes to organic media, know that I have grown orchids in organic media, and the fact that I'm now growing my Phalaenopsis in leca and self-watering should not be a deterrent for asking questions when it comes to other setups and other media. So here's my breakdown of the pros and cons of the popular Phalaenopsis complex hybrid orchids, and feel free to add yours in either category should I not mention something that you have experienced. Welcome to the patio. The pros. It goes without saying, stunning flowers with a wide variety of colors, shapes, and sizes. The blooms are long-lasting, often lasting several months, and eventually, depending on the age and care, they can bloom all the time. And of course, there are so many that exhibit unique and captivating patterns. And then there is the care, which is relatively easy. Keyword being relative. They are tolerant of a range of indoor conditions as well as outdoors, and they are less demanding than some other orchid species, and they can thrive with moderate light and humidity. Pretty much a fabulous houseplant if you are not into orchids as of yet. And yet being the key word here. They are beginner friendly, they are ideal for first-time orchid growers, and they are forgiving of minor care mistakes. Also, they are readily available. They are widely distributed at garden centers, nurseries. You pretty much see them everywhere. You don't have to even go to a garden center to have them in your face, vying for your attention and hoping that you would take them home. And more often than not, they are more affordable than some other orchids out there. They are also versatile. They can be grown in various ways, potted, mounted, or even in terrariums, as well as different media mixes, which makes them great candidates for experimentation, unfortunately. And yes, I have done that to one of mine. It's still alive, but I had to change things up, otherwise I would have lost it. Anyway, their versatility doesn't end there because they add a certain elegance and beauty to any home or office. And when it comes to the care, fertilizer and supplementing, etc., they will grow without ever needing any fertilizer if that is not your jam. As long as they have plenty of light and plenty of water, they do not need fertilizer. However, know that fertilizing and supplementing with calcium nitrate or CalMag will definitely boost the health and strength of your orchid. And then there's the fact that they are continuous growers. This group of orchids grow all year round. No matter what our outdoor season is, based on hemispheres, they are warm to hot growers, and in the right temperatures, they will not stop growing, resulting in beautiful, abundant foliage, which is so rewarding even while the orchid is not in bloom. And they are easy to repot. The chunky roots make for an easy repot, and no matter your choice of media mix, the roots of the Phalaenopsis complex hybrids do not attach to old media as much, making for a much gentler repot and refreshing of the media. We may be the only ones stressed when we repot these orchids, but these orchids are so forgiving when it comes to any form of repots that they don't actually get that stressed. So before I move on to the cons, as per my perception, please would you be so kind as to give this video a thumbs up, share it around, and subscribe to the channel, and know that I really appreciate you for doing that and the support that comes with it. Right, now on to the cons. Phalaenopsis complex hybrids, the word is in the complex, and I'm going to do a little word game here. They can be temperamental. While relatively easy, they will still require specific care to thrive. Overwatering or underwatering can pose a problem. They are susceptible to certain pests and diseases, with mealybugs being the main culprits. My issue with scale can be due to being in southern Spain. For the most part, though, scale isn't really really a pest that goes for Phalaenopsis orchids, but the mealybugs will. I'm going to throw in as a con the limited natural light requirements. While that was a pro as well, depending on which side of the fence you're on, it is a con in my opinion as well. You see, in low natural light, it is possible they may not thrive, as is clear to see with all of mine that are not even in spike, and here we are in February at the time of filming. They do require bright indirect light for optimal growth and blooming, as long as there is no direct sun on the structures. They can take more light than we give them credit for, which will also produce a lot more blooms than if the light provided is too shaded. So just because they might grow in low light conditions, this is not your ZZ plant type of light that we're talking about. In that kind of light, they will not do well. And the worst thing is, in my opinion, is that they can be very prone to rot. Again, overwatering can lead to root rot. It is important to ensure proper drainage in the media mix, and that is relative depending on your environment, depending on your lifestyle, and the media mix may need to be adjusted to accommodate the orchid's needs, as well as make the watering less demanding. In the risk of stem or collar rot and crown rot, it can be risky to have water stuck in the leaf joints or growing point unless there's plenty of airflow with the right temperature to match, ensuring the timely evaporation of the moisture. Some may require special care. Just because maybe you have 3, 4, or 10 Phalaenopsis complex hybrids, you may also find that not all of them behave the same way or require the same amount of water, prefer a little less water. So be mindful of the fact that the preference of one doesn't apply across the board, and keep an eye out, watch your orchid to see if there is a difference, and then apply the care accordingly. And we can seg to the special care that is required when it comes to getting the Phalaenopsis orchid to spike. Usually they need a temperature drop in order to trigger spikes, which can be problematic if the orchids are grown in a home that has steady temperatures. To figure out where to place these orchids so as to experience a temperature drop without getting exposed to too low temperatures while still providing excellent light, it can be a problem that needs solving for at least 6 weeks. And a pet peeve, a big con of mine, is a terminal spike, because many Phalaenopsis orchids are now surviving and thriving after their blooming because of the care they received based on the wealth of information on the internet. So the mass producers have to come up with something to ensure that we still buy them. I can only speak for here in southern Spain, but I have noticed that many Phalaenopsis orchids now come with a terminal spike, which takes another level of patience and experience to make the mother plant grow a keiki or a side plant in order for it to survive. Terminal spike doesn't just refer to the spike coming out of the crown being the last structure that comes out of that area. It means pretty much the orchid is terminal as well, so we can play with words there as well. Personally, I find it such bad practice to put Phalaenopsis complex hybrids with a terminal spike on the market. It should be a huge no-no, considering how many are otherwise thrown into the dumpster at the growing facilities, which we would deem perfectly fine, but no. Terminal spike Phalaenopsis are now reaching the market because those more often than not will not make it, and with that, we are off to purchase another one, and the mass producers are happy. Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. Doesn't work for us, but it works for them. And then there's the size factor. What you bought as this cute mini Phalaenopsis, under the right care, may actually grow into a large Phalaenopsis and suddenly becomes a space hog. This is only a con if you really wanted the orchid for its miniature size. However, know that some Phalaenopsis will turn into beasts, requiring a lot more space than you had initially designated. It's a good problem to have, meaning you're doing it right, but yeah, careful with the miniatures and know that there's a potential for it to grow from miniature to large. I put this next one into the con category because these orchids can be addicting. The beauty and variety of Phalaenopsis orchids can lead to collecting many different varieties. Know what you might be getting yourself into if you purchase 1 or 2 of these orchids, because, well, many of us started out with Phalaenopsis orchids and the rest is history. If you know, you know. Because how can we leave any behind when we are so spoiled for choice, which can be a downside. If you have a large selection combined with super low prices, then it is possibly really hard to choose 1, 2, or 3 out of a whole display, and possibly on your next go around you'll be back at that bench to have a look if that orchid that you can't get out of your head is still there, and all of a sudden you've got 4, 5, 6, I don't know. I have lost count of mine. You see how that works? And lastly, I'm going to do a play on words here. Another con of Phalaenopsis complex hybrid orchids is that because of their popularity, many rogue and fake orchid care channels use Phalaenopsis orchids to trick us to clicking on their videos when it comes to their care. So another con of these orchids are the cons that put out such videos. I bet the commercial growers love those videos because whatever they suggest to do in them, that will take a phal down, meaning back to the store we go and purchase another one because the previous one died. So side note, please do not click on those videos. I have linked a video on the subject of these fake orchid care channels in the description if you would like to get an insight into approximately 15 months of research that I put into the video and why I say what I say about these con channels. Anyway, overall, Phalaenopsis complex hybrids offer a rewarding experience for orchid enthusiasts of all levels. Their stunning blooms and relative ease of care make them a popular choice for both beginners and experienced growers. By understanding their specific needs and providing the right conditions, you can enjoy the beauty of these orchids for years to come. Again, let me know any pros and cons that you would like to add which are not mentioned here. This is not to put anyone off from growing Phalaenopsis orchids. Instead, it is meant to give a realistic understanding of what you are getting yourself into, which I hope is happy growing. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for watching to the end, giving me the opportunity to wish you a wonderful day, on the condition though please that you stay safe. Take care. Bye.